The Pathfinder, Chapter 10. The Architect. He stopped imagining the future and started building it. Long before the world had language for what he carried, one person recognized the fire in him. They did not see a performer. They did not see a man chasing applause. They saw a vision, steadiness, and the kind of leadership that did not need a crowd to be real. Sometimes a whole future begins the moment somebody sees what is already there. First time he stood in that warehouse, most folks would have called it empty. Dust in the air, bare walls, concrete underfoot, nothing finished, nothing polished. But he did not see lack. He saw room to build, room to test ideas, room to turn vision into form. What looked unfinished to the world felt like permission to him. He never cared much for the kind of leadership that needed a crowd to feel real. No speeches for the sake of applause. No followers trained to doubt themselves and worship the loudest voice in the room. He would rather let the work speak first. So while the world kept chasing performance, he stayed at the table, building with his hands and leading by example. What he wanted beside him was not blind loyalty, but people willing to think, grow, and build for themselves. Night after night, he kept gathering the pieces, books, lectures, symbols, numbers, spirit, logic, imagination. What looked separate to most folks started talking to each other in his hands. He was not studying just to know more. He was learning how to weave wisdom into structure, intuition into systems, and vision into forms the future could stand on. Some nights, the work felt less like invention and more like remembrance. Screens glowed, notes stacked up, future forms kept meeting them halfway, like they had been waiting for the right hands to call them forward. What others might have called imagination felt different to him. It felt like memory arriving early, as if a life from ahead had left blueprints in his spirit and trusted him to build them here. Before the world could believe it, he had to make the future small enough to hold. He built it piece by piece, hands steady, heart deeper. Greenhouses, learning spaces, clean water, ethical tech, sanctuaries, living systems. Each model a promise, each blueprint a prayer, each structure a seed. He wasn't just designing buildings, he was rehearsing a better world. If they couldn't see it yet, he would make it real enough to touch, because visions don't change the world, what you build from them does. What started as one idea refused to stay small. The tables filled first, then the shelves, then the walls. Blueprints leaned on prototypes. Prototypes gave birth to systems. Little by little, the warehouse stopped looking like a workroom and started looking like a future rehearsing itself out loud. Nothing came all at once. It stacked up through discipline, through late nights, through one more model, one more sketch, one more refusal to quit before the vision learned how to stand. Folks passed by like the work was invisible. No cheering crowd, no easy spectacle, no circus for restless eyes to clap at and forget by morning. Just one man, a warehouse, and a vision stubborn enough to keep building whether anybody understood it or not. He had no interest in performing for people who only respected noise. Purpose had already claimed his time, his energy, and his hands. He brought the models out where people could see him. Some laughed, some doubted, some kept walking. But a few stopped long enough to see the usefulness inside the strange designs. And that was enough to start the signal spreading. The future always sounds strange before people could see how it helps them. The work was no longer just a private vision sitting in the warehouse. A few people had started to see it too. What began with one open door and one man's discipline was becoming the first real foundation of support. Behind him, the blueprints glowed. Ahead of him, a new world waited over the horizon. He was no longer only building ideas, he was becoming an architect of realities.